So I haven't made a video in a while, but I feel like right now is a perfect time. I'm 6 months into my career after graduating from college, and here's what I learned. Number one, find your balance, but don't overdo it. Number two, listen way more than you talk, but know when to speak up. And number three, never lose sight of the search for your calling. And in this video, I'm gonna go into more detail on each of these things and share my personal experiences from my first 6 months at my job. If you heard my story before, you probably have heard my testimony, which is basically my college career. If not, I'll share a little bit here for context. As a freshman and sophomore, I experienced two traumatic experiences with the police. The first one landed me in jail, and the second one resulted in a gun being pointed at me. I took the next year off to find a better path, and that journey led to me building a relationship with God and also discovering my worth. And so as a junior, I started a business and found a mentor. And then as a senior, I was able to start a podcast and start another business that was centered around my passion of writing. And after graduating, I didn't know if I would get a job or if I would just go straight into the marketplace while I worked out of my mom's basement. And see, I was honestly okay with either one, but God ended up leading me down a path to join my mentor's company. And now I'm 6 months into that job, and I want to share these three things. The first thing is you have to find your balance, but you can't overdo it. Personally, with me graduating with an entrepreneurship degree and my own business that was in its baby phase at the time, I was hesitant about taking a job because I knew that if I did, I would basically have to work twice as hard because I would essentially be working two jobs at the same time, right? Going into the job, I was ready to continue with the same grind that I had before, which was doing one podcast a week, getting a new writing client every month, doing all this while still working 9 hours at my job. And needless to say, all of this did not happen. And as a result, I went through sort of a mini depression period because I started feeling like that I was lacking value. I wasn't producing revenue at my job, and I wasn't producing content for my business. But see, I had to take a step back and look at my position from a different lens. I learned that what you're looking at affects what you see. And it's important to look behind the scenes, to look at what is not seen instead of looking at what is seen. So in my position, I was looking at myself going into work every day and leaving without making a sale, and then getting home to not having any content made. So I had to shift my mindset, had to shift my lens, and instead had to look at myself going into a full-time job that I was thankful for in a thriving industry where I have the potential to innovate and produce, and also where I get paid to learn and where I'm able to add chapters to my story. And this small shift in my mindset, it made me change from, okay, dang, I'm missing out, to, all right, I see I'm actually building myself up. And this simple shift, it led to me adding productive habits to my day. And as a result, I've been able to find my balance and make sure that I'm growing every hour of the day. And now the second thing that I've learned is that you have to listen way more than you talk, but you also have to know when to speak up. And I actually learned this a few weeks ago. There are three types of bad listening habits: faking attention, rehearsing a response, and interrupting. And I'm not going to go into detail in this video, but during my 6 months in corporate, I realized that there's a lot that I don't know, especially coming into an organization where the average person has over 20 years of experience. I knew that I would only have so much input in the conversations. And since I knew this, I became extremely intentional about being a great listener. And also, one gift that I feel like I'm blessed to have is that I know what I know and I know what I don't know. So there are certain situations where my voice is the voice. I'm going to give you an example. And so now that racism is such a prevalent topic of conversation, since I'm the only black man in the company, I now have the opportunity to teach others, and I'm aware of that. So for me, it is my responsibility to speak up and share my truth as a 24-year-old black man, and to have confidence in knowing that my stories provide an opportunity for my team members to get educated on something that I have over 20 years of experience in, which is basically just being in my skin. And this has been a very powerful learning curve for me. Know what you know and know what you don't know. But what you know, you have to show. And now the third thing that I've learned is to never lose sight of the search for your calling. See, while I was still in college, the whole thought of corporate America scared me. I've seen so many people get lost and just lose sight of their passion and their ambition. And I didn't want that to happen to me. And so for a long time, I resented it. I would talk to people and ask for advice. And I would always hear, you have to keep your business and your job separate and never mix the two. But now that I'm 6 months into corporate America, I realized that for me, the truth is not trying to keep my job and my business separate, but actually just showing up fully as one human being and working to the best of my ability, regardless of where I am or what I'm working on. Because the skills that I'm learning at my job positively affect my business, and the skills that I'm using in my business can positively affect my job. And so if you watch this video, then you now know the 3 things that I've learned throughout these first 6 months in corporate America. And if you were able to gain value from this, then do me a favor and like it and share it. And also, if you have any questions about my experience, let me know in a comment or either a personal message, and I'll make a video answering that question. And so I hope you enjoy watching this, and I'll see you next time. Peace and love.